So, Money in the Bank 2023 has come and gone. And while I was very lukewarm on the pay-per-view as a whole, there is a particular match that caught my eye, that captured my attention and focus. And that match was Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa versus the Usos, the next chapter in the Bloodline Civil War. And full disclosure, I hate that tagline, and I hate the fact that the announcer announced the match as the Bloodline Civil War. I thought that was incredibly contrived and corny. But I digress. I am not here to rip on the WWE commentary team. What I'm here to do is have an interesting conversation about the Bloodline saga and analyze why it connects with people, but also why it doesn't resonate to more traditional wrestling fans. Now, full disclosure, as you guys know, I am not the biggest proponent of WWE. I am not the biggest fan of the product as a whole. And on the podcast, I tend to lean more on the negative side when discussing current affair WWE. But I must say, for the most part, this Bloodline storyline has been excellent. It is undoubtedly the best storyline WWE have going on right now, and arguably the best storyline they've done in years. But when watching Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa versus the Usos, I came across a revelation. I stumbled upon something I had not quite yet considered. The Bloodline saga isn't pro wrestling. Hear me out. I know the pitchforks are coming out. I know there's a lynch mob outside waiting for me and waiting to call me all sorts of inflammatory terms relating to AEW or an indie darling. Please allow me the grace to explain where I'm coming from. The match we witnessed at Money in the Bank specifically was more about content than professional wrestling. What do I mean by this? The match itself was designed to create future content. The match would immediately stop, halt, come to a close for a reaction shot of the Usos, or to capture Roman Reigns delivering one of his Shakespearean monologues to Paul Heyman. The emphasis, the highlights of the match weren't the physical activities, in my opinion, were the breaks in action, were again the monologues, the dialogue. Why was this the case? When watching the pay-per-view with some of my wrestling's brothers and many of our supporters, a lot of people echoed the sentiment that, oh, this would be great for a video package. This would be great content. And that got me thinking about the virality of the Bloodline storyline. What moments are resonating with people when discussing the Bloodline? And it is not the matches per se. We might reference activities that happened in the matches, but it is the cinematic elements of the story. And I'm going to do a very awkward cross-reference. I'm going to talk about Teen Titans Go. For those of you who aren't aware, Teen Titans Go is a comedic series that follows the Teen Titans, a group of DC superheroes, on their wild antics. Now, Teen Titans Go is almost a reimagining, reboot of an original series called Teen Titans, and Teen Titans Go is a very controversial series amongst DC fans because it takes a much more comedic, light-hearted approach compared to the original Teen Titans series, which was revered for its complex character work and storytelling. Introduction out of the way. Why am I comparing the Bloodline to Teen Titans Go? Teen Titans Go, in its essence, is a show designed for virality. It's a show designed for moments, almost at the expense of the content itself. Since its inception, Teen Titans Go has never failed to create a viral moment, whether it's Beast Boy singing, whether it's Robin roasting the entire crew. Teen Titans has always been able to create a viral moment, and these viral moments can live outside the episode themselves. They don't require context because they live as their own entity, as its own piece of content. Relating back to wrestling, these moments of the Bloodline aren't just funny out of context moments. These moments take a life of their own outside of the match. Just the moments. Now, some of you might be thinking, NK, where are you going with this? You are being pretentious. You're doing too much. It's not that deep. Potentially. But I want to examine this. The Bloodline storyline has captured the imaginations of many fans, and I believe because it's very subversive. Because of its departure from the traditional status quo of pro wrestling, it's added a different element to the WWE and wrestling product as a whole that fans have just gravitated to. It's the prime example of taking a risk, going against the grain, paying off for a large subset of fans. Unfortunately, I am not one of the fans who is on board with the wave. I feel like the Bloodline story is a great story, but it is not my favorite pro wrestling story. One of my favorite principles in storytelling as a whole is show, don't tell. Show, don't tell is basically a narrative technique that allows the reader the hatred, the animosity, the disdain is conveyed in the match. If there is a particularly heated feud, we will see the hatred come out in the form of a no disqualification match, blood being used, or the general intensity of the moves being used is increased to convey the animosity and hatred that the story is trying to present us. My problem with the match at Money in the Bank was that the exposition, the dialogue, was reinforcing the tension between Roman Reigns and the Usos, but the action of the match wasn't doing so. I don't believe from the actions of the wrestlers in the match that there was that genuine animosity and hatred. What sold me on the tension of the feud is again the dialogue, which is something more akin to what I would see in a motion picture. Show us in the match through your actions that this is a heated feud, and the wrestling didn't do that. The dialogue did. This feud being called cinema by its fans, or being called community theatre by its detraction, have the same correlation. This is more akin to other mediums of storytelling outside wrestling. This is closer to the community theatre that the detractors label it as, closer to cinema that its wild supporters compare it to. It is that it lives in that medium. It lives in a space that isn't traditional professional wrestling. And moreover, to harken back to my content point, the emphasis of the feud is to create content. I have no doubt when this feud reaches its conclusion, when all the footage is compiled together by WWE's expert team of editors, that they will create a gripping, immersive, heart-wrenching, genre-defining piece of content that will present this Bloodline saga as a Lovecraftian, Shakespearean masterpiece, a Greek tragedy, the likes that WWE has never seen. Because even when watching the Money in the Bank match, the most invested I was in the match was when it became pro wrestling, was when the finisher spamming started to happen, was when the sequences, the counters, when it started to resemble the thing that I love the most. I am a huge fan of cinema. I am a huge fan of theatre. Comment down below, let me know your thoughts. I want people to engage with me on this. I know I'm probably going to be in the minority of this. I know I might get cooked for this on Restings by our Discord, by our podcast, but regardless, I want to have the conversation. I want to spark a dialogue. Make sure you like, share, comment, and subscribe. Make sure you become a member of our YouTube channel. It comes with exclusive content, but more importantly, you can become a part of our Discord as a member, and we can continue the conversation on there. It's been your boy NK, the man of the hour, too sweet to be sour, and I'm signing out. Catch you next time.